So it's another year and we have another Jurassic Park movie. This time they've dubbed it Rebirth, or it's Jurassic World Rebirth, but you could have named it Jurassic World Redux, intertwined, reimagined, because you know what this film is. The thing is, people keep going to see these films in droves. They wouldn't keep making them if they didn't keep making the money. And I don't know if people just keep going off the nostalgia of the first one, but we can't quite get past the magic of that first one. But since then, it's kind of jumped away from what Jurassic Park was about dinosaurs, about the magnificence of perhaps seeing a dinosaur in real life, even though they're sort of dinosaurs. And then the subsequent films, we just got a bunch of films that were monster movies disguised as a Jurassic Park film. And the last trilogy of the world films has seen to that. Here, this one's called Rebirth, but it shouldn't be called Rebirth. It's more like Dead End, or look what we've done this time, again. That's not to say I didn't enjoy it. There's just, it's a Jurassic Park world movie, and we know what to expect with these. So let's jump in. No spoilers because this is day of release, but I'm going to talk about some of the characters. So, hope you enjoy this. So Scarlett Johansson plays Scarlett Johansson. She's a sort of Black Widow character without her armor, or without, this is her day job. And then we have Mahershala Ali, not playing Blade yet, but maybe one day we'll get that. In the meantime, these two main draw actors are getting paid quite well for their roles. And I do feel like people are going to say, well, they're not really acting that well. There isn't much there in the dialogue for them to play with. Also, the characters are often written in ways for people to put themselves in the character's shoes. So we have two MacGuffin leads. I don't know which one is the lead, actually. Mahershala Ali has a sort of a sad plot behind him, that we get a little bit of character development with his character. Scarlett Johansson's character also has a bit of a sad history. We get a little bit of character development. And so you can, depending on which way you walk in life, for whatever platform or reason, however you find yourself in life, these characters are so 2D almost that you can implement yourself as if you're playing the main character and go, yeah, I could do that sort of if I got myself into shape and had a little bit of a gun range training. I would make good decisions like they do occasionally. Mostly. And so you get the generic leads. And then we need somebody to care about. So we have the MacGuffin family. The MacGuffin family are always going to get the other group in trouble, even though the group that is there doing the things that they need to do to make this plot go forward will get themselves into trouble. And herein lies the crux. It's got two sort of groups to follow, both of which we don't really care about. You sort of care about what's going on with the family. And you sort of are rooting for one particular character to die, although there is a kind of growing of a character. Not that much, but a bit of growth in some of the characters. Their decision making, you can see exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. And I'm selling this film like it's a terrible movie. It isn't that. It's not a terrible movie. In fact, I think it's the best since Jurassic Park 3. However you want to place that original trilogy, I quite like Lost World. I had a lot of fun with that. I liked number 3. I like seeing Sam Neill back. But the world movies for me aren't even Jurassic Park films. They're more like monster movies. But they're a ride. They're escapism. It's a stupid 2-hour adventure movie. And that's exactly what this one is, although I do feel like it's the best of that lot because it goes back to the contained nature of a sort of story. There's a bit of stuff that happens at the beginning of the movie that you're not going to care about, but it's the driving force to get your characters on one of those islands again. Once we're in the islands, that's when the adventure starts, and that's what you're paying the big bucks for, because you want to see the dinosaurs almost killing people, almost. You're also going to have those characters that are instantly forgettable, that are part of the group that they are there just for, dino meat, flesh sticks. They are the thing that the characters that I guarantee if you've seen it now, you cannot remember their names. And that's because they're there just to kind of move the plot forward. Now, I would say they could have taken a couple of more chances and killed off some of the other characters that do survive in this. Not everybody survives, so, you can play that game if you think, I wonder who's going to survive in this. You will probably know who's going to die from the beginning and who's going to survive from the beginning of this. However, the score cue or the Jurassic Park original composing bit, those cues that we've had that's been threaded out throughout the franchise gets a kind of a bit of a rebirth. Maybe that's why it's called Rebirth into this. And it's injected nicely. So you get those ooh, ah moments rather than running and screaming. You get the long neck brachiosaurus moments. You get the raptor sort of moments with the claw. All of those kind of hallmark trademarks of the Jurassic Park franchise. It's there for you to enjoy. This cinema screening that I went into was full. And I know it's summertime, and I think schools are almost broken up here in the UK, but it was completely full in an early afternoon screening. I was surprised by, and everyone in it seemed to enjoy it, bar a couple of people that I think had some sort of special needs of some kind, and they found it quite scary. I could hear by their noises and shouts. And then there was a couple of really young kids, like 5-6-year-olds with their parents. I don't advise taking your younger ones to this unless you want to traumatize them. And if you want to do that, you could, let them stay at home, watch Neverending Story, or, Watership Down. But I did question the parenting for that, because there are a couple of moments in this where I thought, wow, that's a proper horror monster creation. And when you're having Gareth Edwards helm a monster movie, that's what he does best. If you've seen that one good Godzilla movie that he did, it was fantastic. Do you remember Monsters? He can craft a big scale monster quite well. And that's what he's got to play with. So when we've seen those monsters on screen here, and I say monsters, and I gonna keep saying monsters because they aren't dinosaurs anymore. Even to look at them, you're like, whoa, that's kind of weird. There's a bit of dialogue in this that kind of restructures the world of dinos as well, and I quite like that they've done that. It is definitely setting up for what they want to do in the future, but this film itself is a contained story, which is great. They aren't setting up further sequels, but there's a bit of dialogue that restructures the idea of what's going on with dinosaurs and humans. That works well for me. So Scarlett Johansson was great with what she's been given, and what she's been given is that generic I'm the hero type female character card. And then Mahershala Ali, the same. I can't really think about anybody that's outstanding in this film when it comes to acting, because what they've been given is acting against green screen and running away in dinosaurs and screaming and basically just trying to see if they can survive green screen dinosaurs. And that is where the film excels. It's all the padding in between that's just like, ugh, I wish they would hurry this up and get to the next scene, because really we don't care about the padding. You can do character development in amongst the action. That's what this film cries for. It is 2 hours and 15 minutes long, and I think 15 minutes could have been scraped off it easily. However, I did enjoy it. So 3 Nicolas Cages out of 5. Let me know your ranking of all the Jurassic Park movies that you've seen.
I guess I was pretty horny.
If you've seen them all, I'd love to know your ranking. First one for me is still the best. I'd literally rank them 1, 2, 3, and then the Jurassic Park, well, the Jurassic World movies will be interchangeable because they kind of all blur and are very forgettable. I can remember Chris Pratt, a high heels lady, and Blue. I think that's about the things that I remember from that trilogy. Love to know your thoughts about this. Thanks so much for watching, but most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.